Yeah, and let's talk about what empathy as a weapon means. Empathy is meant to create understanding. When empathy is weaponized, that means it's used to control outcomes. This happens not because someone's bad or manipulative in nature. It's because empathy is used as a survival strategy instead of a relational capacity, okay? So this came up because I was talking about wounded divine feminine energy in men, right? And how his sensitivity is often unsafe to express directly, and how his needs get ignored and minimized. And power belongs to those who have controlled emotion, not by those who feel it. So then expressing needs openly, which is a healthy masculine energy, this guy learns to read, mirror, and influence emotional states, right? This is an overdeveloped feminine energy. Empathy is how a wounded feminine energy in a male survives. Empathy. So when does empathy cross the line? Empathy crosses the line when it's no longer being used to connect, but to manage, protect, or control. So here's what that looks like in practice. Emotional preemption, right? This is feeling before asking. So a wounded feminine energy in a male will sense emotions before they are expressed. So he'll respond to what he thinks you're feeling instead of what you actually said. This sounds like, oh, I knew you would feel abandoned. I could feel you pulling away. Oh, I knew that would hurt you. On the surface, this looks caring, but underneath, it removes the other person's agency. Because instead of allowing the truth to unfold, he decides the emotional narrative in advance to avoid uncertainty. In this way, empathy is used to stay in control of that emotional field. Okay? The second way that empathy can be used as a weapon is when we use empathy as avoidance of directness. So a wounded divine feminine male, or anyone with a wounded feminine energy, like let's be real, will use empathy to clear masculine action. So instead of saying, I don't want to commit, or I'm unsure, or even I can't show up the way you want, this wounded piece will say, I don't want to hurt you. I care too much to mess this up. I'm worried about your feelings. So then empathy becomes a shield against accountability. Yeah? The message sounds gentle, right? It almost sounds emotionally mature and accountable, but it's not, because the outcome is confusion, is stagnation, and it's emotional limbo. The third way that empathy can be used as a weapon: emotional mirroring without containment. What does that even mean? It means that the male with the wounded divine feminine energy, or anyone with a wounded divine feminine energy, okay? He will feel what you feel deeply, but he ain't gonna contain it. So your sadness becomes his overwhelm. Oh Lord. Your frustration shuts him the fuck down. And your needs feel like emotional pressure. So instead of holding space, he just collapses all up in it, just melting all up in your problems. And this turns into a very subtle reversal. You end up regulating him. I know this sounds familiar. I can't tell you, bro. There's a witness right here. So empathy without structure becomes emotional flooding, and flooding leads to withdrawal. Are we following here? How about the fourth one? This one's the most painful to name because it's so common and people think it's okay. The fourth way that empathy is used as emotional weapons. Empathy is typically socially rewarded, yes? So someone with a wounded divine feminine energy may use it unconsciously to claim moral superiority. So they'll claim themselves to be the emotionally mature one, the safe one, or the one who feels so deeply. And then frame others, like partners, as too demanding, too intense, or too reactive. So then empathy becomes a way of avoiding someone's own lack of direction, someone's lack of consistency, or someone's lack of follow through. Sensitivity replaces leadership. Okay, one more. Empathy is used as a weapon when it is emotional surveillance. I've been the victim of this and it's really annoying. Like, instead of trusting communication, this wounded feminine energy tracks emotional shifts. It's to stay ahead of conflict. So we're talking about the wounded divine feminine in a male, so I'll just say he. He's watching your tone. He's reading your pauses. He's analyzing your reactions. And he's adjusting his behavior to prevent rupture. And it feels attentive, but it's anxious ass behavior. And honestly, it creates a relationship where nothing is said plainly, everything is inferred, honesty feels dangerous, and emotional truth is very indirect. Because empathy here is being used to manage a threat instead of enhance intimacy. So let's explain why this is wounded. Divine feminine energy is receptive and attuned, but it requires masculine containment to stay healthy. So when a masculine is wounded or underdeveloped, empathy doesn't have structure. Feelings don't have any direction. Intuition has no follow through, and the sensitivity has no spine, just a noodle. So then empathy becomes compensatory power. Look that up. And it's really not because he wants to control. It's because he doesn't feel safe leading, choosing, or risking rejection. This sounds like a really sad story, so let me tell you what healed integration looks like. When empathy is integrated in a healthy masculine energy, he will ask instead of assume. He will state his needs directly. He ain't leaving it up to chance or to somebody, okay? He can hold space without collapsing, and he will choose clarity over emotional influence. It doesn't matter how someone else feels. What are we talking about here? Speak with your whole chest. It's about understanding without control. Empathy is healthy when it invites truth. Empathy is weaponized when it replaces truth. That was long, but I hope it helped. Now, go.